Greetings and welcome to the 25th episode of the Reconnect Podcast and TV Show. Today, here we are at NJ's Family Restaurant and we have the distinguished guest, Tekane Ledimo. Greetings and welcome to the podcast.
Greetings to you too and your viewers, and thank you for having me.
Hello. Can you start sharing educational background? How you got from high school or primary?
You're in the way, so my background or my academic background is in accounting and finance. So I studied at the University of Cape Town. I did my undergrad in finance and accounting, and then I did my postgraduate at the business school of Cape Town, of the University of Cape Town, in development finance.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty much where I am and what I studied.
Wow. And when did you start your professional journey? I
think so. Career-wise, I'm in business. I'm an entrepreneur, and I think the bug, if I can call it a bug, hit me very early on in my life. I think when I was like 18, 19 years old. I think from a very young age, I always knew what I wanted to do. What I didn't know though is I always wanted to go into business. I just didn't know which type of business and what I would actually resonate with and want to do. So I think I figured that out in my early 20s. I fell in love with, I've always been good with numbers since primary, since high school. Maths has always been my thing. So I think it just made sense that, I find myself within finance, within financial services. So yeah, that's basically, I'd say, when I started. I think I had my first business, although it was very informal, when I was like 18, 19.
What was the business doing?
I was just running a small canteen, like a small tuck shop, just buying goods, selling wholesale prices, selling at retail prices, making my margin. And then from there, I grew. I grew out of that space, moved into public transport on Alusutumane actually. It's before everybody flooded the market. Even the feet was fashionable. This was about 2015. Yeah. Took the proceeds from there, bought a second hand, and you lived on those guys salon.
Oh,
Yeah, a mini salon. Yeah. So I think I bought that for about 15K. And then in a ring, I had a driver. And then, yeah, that was 2015, 2016. And then from there, around mid 2016, then I started learning more about like financial markets, capital markets, and I was in school now. So the business was here running by itself. I was in Cape Town. And then as I learned more about financial markets, stock markets, trading, I started getting some experience, and I decided to sell the car, or rather the business. But the asset of the business was the car. So I sold the car, took some of that money, and then started trading. This was late 2016.
You were trading currencies, foreign exchange trade?
Forex, I was doing Forex, I was doing indices, I was doing commodities. Yeah.
And then after trading, you moved to what?
So after trading, so here's the thing, right? For me, I view trading as a means to an end, right? So for me, trading was a revenue generating vehicle, right? Which would allow me to build a capital base. And with this capital base, I would then be able to invest in different businesses or have my hand in different pots and in different pies. So I think the first business I did when trading started becoming profitable, because also it's a journey, right? You start learning. So I started learning in 2016, only became profitable like 20, late 2017, early 2018. So it was like an 18, 24-month journey of just no wins. And when the wins started coming, when I started taking some of my proceeds, my profits, and started investing back in that kept business. So now on the feet were fashionable. So I got a couple of them, I put them out there, and then I was like, okay, I'm done with that field aspect of business. Then I started building out. At the same time, I was also building a startup. Man, I've been doing a lot of things. At the same time, I was also building a startup. And mind you, all of this I'm studying. I'm still in school.
Wow.
So then I started building my startup, like a fintech company in South Africa. So yeah, I was just juggling between those. So from trading, I'd say I moved more into like investing in businesses that were not early stage, but which I could realize revenue generation very quickly. And then I was building out my startup. When you build out a startup, that's a different world altogether.
What is that fintech doing?
This episode is brought to you by NJ's Family Restaurant, your go-to family spot nestled in Maseru West, Lesotho, serving up smiles and delicious bites for all ages. Visit NJ's Family Restaurant today.
So the fintech still operating even today. So it's been around 8 years. So what it basically does is we bridge the gap to access to finance. Ultimately, that's what we do. So we finance a lot of small, medium, growing enterprises, a lot of township-based enterprises. So basically, the fintech is to assist. So we leverage technology to provide finance, right? So what I mean by that is a lot of these SMEs are underserved. They are not included within the financial ecosystem. It's not easy for them to go to a bank and get a loan or go to the bank and get any form of a facility, right? Largely because availability of data is very limited, and they don't meet the bank's requirements, so they're unable to access the funding. So what we do is we use alternative data. So we look at different data sets and different data points to say this guy is worthy of credit, given these data points. So these are accessible data points, right? So our funding is very working capital based. So we work with so we finance you based on what you have that you're working with, right? So they were able to transfer the risk to your clients. If they're corporate clients, we're able to transfer your risk to other third parties, right? We don't make you as a central and focal point. So that then enables you to qualify for credit, and then we originate the capital as well. So now you need a loan, can't get it from the bank, when an alternative lender, you can get the money from us. Yeah, so that's basically what the fintech does.
So when did you start Prime Capital? And thank you for the
No, your work. So Prime Capital came a little bit later on. Came in about late 2021, early 2022. So it's been about 3 to 4 years now. Basically, the whole point of it was also to bridge the gap, access to finance. I think if you look in Lesotho right now, we are an emerging economy. We are considered a third world country, fourth world country. There's lack of opportunities for young people. There's lack of opportunities generally. Unemployment is quite high. So the solution that a lot of people are doing is jumping into business, to find ways of living or ways of making income. And there's not much support for those SMEs, especially youth-owned. So Prime Capital was just a vehicle for me to say, how can we also bridge the gap of access to finance in the country? Because ultimately, businesses need money to grow. And if the businesses don't have money, they can't grow. And if the businesses cannot grow, it means there's not anything happening for that small business owner, right? So when there's nothing happening for that small business owner, what happens? Unemployment. What does unemployment result in? No income, depression, and all of these things, So we're just trying to fix society and, build a better life and a better future for our generation and those that are coming after us.
Besides Prime Capital, there's this company that starts with Prime. What is it called?
Prime Cubate.
Yeah, what does it do? And
Visit TM Properties and Real Estate Investment Company. They are located at Medcash Complex. Their services include property evaluation, site inspection, property survey, property investments, property management, property rentals. They buy and sell property. Visit today.
So Prime Cubate is it's an enterprise support organization. Basically, it's an incubator. So what it does is it offers non-financial support to SMEs, right? So when I started Prime Capital, what I realized, or rather, what I thought the problem was in Lesotho of lack of access to finance was that there's no one who's willing to provide finance to small businesses, right? Now the problem was that when we started operating and we launched, I realized that actually part of the problem or part of the reason why these SMEs don't have access to finance is because they themselves are not funding ready. What do I mean by they're not funding ready? They don't know they're not packaged well, right, to be able to access finance. Yes, the person who oversees my job, all that I'm doing is I'm in agriculture, but you don't have proper record keeping of your financial statements. You don't have proper record keeping of your statement of affairs, your accounting records. You don't have proper, you don't have a way to sell your business or package it properly. You don't have a business plan to say, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm at right now, this is my vision, this is where I'm going. So you cannot sell your business. You cannot articulate your business well to a potential lender, right? So you don't have the right records, you don't have the right data room set that a typical lender or typical investor would want, right? So then Prime Cubate came in as offering those non-financial support to help you to become ready to access finance. So that's pretty much what Prime Cubate is and what it does.
They help people for free under Prime Cubate.
Yeah, so under Prime Cubate, what we target big organizations that are looking to make impact within the economy. So we're talking about organizations like the World Bank, the MCC, MCA, to say, guys, here's what we do, here's our track record, here's what we've done, and work with us. So basically they finance that, and then we then deliver the services to the entrepreneurs for free, essentially.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. I try.
So what advice can we give to young entrepreneurs who want, maybe they have the business and they want to scale and they're struggling?
Why are they struggling?
Maybe they don't make enough profits, so what will the profits maybe, or maybe they need more capital, or they have a kono kolletsa o ka ba kolletsa batho ka bo 5 years o latela revenue ntse ba etsa that, or ba accelerate. What advice can you give to them?
I think the first point of advice is a point of departure. The very first thing is that you need to shift your mindset, right? You need to understand okay, there's me as Tekane, as the person, and there's the business, which is a separate entity. So these are two different people.
Yes.
Right? So there's me, I'm the business owner, I run the business. There's a business which needs to, as much as you need oxygen to breathe, the business needs revenue generation to survive, to breathe. Right? So when you take from the business, you're killing it. You're taking oxygen away from the business. They won't be able to survive. So you have a clear distinction, right? What do I mean by that? There are certain rules, okay, like as a human being, there are certain rules or parameters that we operate within, right? We need to drink, we need to eat, we need to sleep, we need to use the toilet for us to survive. Those are the things. Those are the rules of, safeguarding ourselves as humans. Same applies for business. There are rules that it must operate within to survive. You must have good cash management. You must have good financial management. You must have good engagements, good stakeholder management with your clients, with your potential partners. You must have, you must treat the business and operate it as a business, right? So what do I mean by that? Don't be the business. Do not try to bring these things together and operate as one, right? So have a clear distinction. Understand what how get business, right? If you have to pay yourself a salary, you'd rather pay yourself a salary, and have a limit to say this is my salary, and make sure that whatever salary wins out of the business, high our business, and ultimately outside of that, you understand this thing, it's a patience game. The ones that get rewarded the most are the ones who make it to the end. It's not going to be easy. There's ups, there's downs, there are happy moments, there are sad times, there are tough times. There are more tougher times than good times, especially like in the early stages. So, as a to mamelo to latate. So you have to, from mamele, all the pain, all the tribulations, and operate and know where you're going. Understand your purpose, why did I start this business? What am I trying to do with this business? Where am I trying to take this business? When you know and you're rooted and you're married to those three fundamentals, then every day stick to them, work towards them, and ultimately you'll get to where you want to get to, and things will work out. And outside of that, the basic advice I would say is, the stuff that everybody says, keep alert with what's happening around you. Make sure you're always up to date with consumer behavior, consumer changes, factors that are happening in the economy that might affect your business, any potential risks that might affect you not being able to get a client today or tomorrow. Opening up yourselves, put yourself out there for opportunities. You only attract opportunities when you go to them. You can't be sitting running your business behind in a small room where nobody sees or hears about you. The only way we're going to know about you is if you put yourself out there, if you market your business well, if you market yourself well as the business owner. So, and ultimately that's where opportunities will stem from.
So you mentioned that you were once the trader, the Forex trader, and what I've realized is that a lot of young people nowadays, like when they are unemployed, some of them go into trading, and some people believe that maybe it's the get rich quick scheme, like Pato, what can you say to those people, trading, how can they handle it or be profitable?
Looking for fast, reliable internet? visit Jenny Internet Lesotho today.
I think first point of correction, I wasn't once a trader. I'm still a trader. Yeah. So that's one thing. That's one skill that took me so many years, to craft and to grasp that I will never leave. The only difference now is I've got more experience. So I've been doing this for like 9 years. Next year I'll have 10 years worth of experience.
Wow.
The only difference now is I'm not as pushy to the market as I was when I was younger. I'm more relaxed. I'm more sober-minded. I'm more matured. And funny enough, actually, I trade less than I did 7 years ago, but I make more money today than I did 7 years ago. So it's not about how many trades, how many positions you open. It's about the quality of your trades and basically understanding what you're doing. But anyways, to answer your question, I get this question a lot, especially from a lot of young people that are like, hey man, you see, I'm trading, this, that, and the other. And my advice is always very simple. Why are you trading? Do you know why you're trading? A lot of these guys that you're talking about, they are trading because they go on Facebook, they go on Instagram, they see people's lifestyles, they see fancy cars, they see guys popping bottles in the club, wearing expensive clothes, all of these things. And they're like, that's the life that I want. I'm going to go and trade for that. Yeah. So what are you telling your mind when you're subconscious? I'm trading, or I'm approaching trading for instant gratification. What does that tell your mind? It tells me I need to trade today, and tomorrow I need to have these things. Or in 3 months, I need to have these things. Or in 4 months, I need to have these things. Because why? Someone that I idolize said he did this in 2 months or 3 months. Right? So that is the biggest challenge. Why are you trading? You need to understand, why are you doing this for? And if your reasons and your purpose is lopsided, you're not going to make it. Because trading is a very, very, very difficult thing to do. Right? But it's not impossible. And it doesn't just require logic. It requires emotional maturity. It requires mental maturity. It requires you to be on top of your psyche. It requires you to be stronger than your psyche, right? Because ultimately, it's a numbers game. It's a risk to reward game, right? So, yes, I can give you, that's why you can give 10 people the same strategy. I can guarantee you 8 to 9 will be losing. Only one guy will make it. But the same strategy, right? Because in trading, timing is everything. There's no right time or right moment. So you can never actually wait for the right time. But where people lose money is that they are so in a hurry for the market to move, right? They take big risks. They don't manage their risk well. So the guy will risk 10 to 20% of his account on one trade. And the market is not ready to move, and he loses. He doesn't have stop losses. He doesn't have proper risk management, proper money management, and he loses. A disciplined guy will take 2 to 3% risk, proper money management, and then he will win the trade. Yes, he will lose 2 to 3%. He will make money only maybe on a ratio of 2 to 3, maybe 5-6%. That guy lost 20, hoping to make 2 times that. So he was hoping to make 40%. That's not a healthy way to grow your trading account. So risk management is absolutely crucial. Money management is absolutely crucial, right? So I am very much on top of my risk management, my money management, my psychology, because it's a mental game, it's not glorified. So what you see on social media, like it's very different. That's why I don't even post about my trading. Like I probably did that like 5 years ago or something. Now, like I don't feel the need, right? And once you get into that mental cycle and into that mental loop where you're constantly feeding your mind what you're seeing on social media and you're trying to trade, trust me, you're not gonna make it.
So do you have people you mentor in about trading, or you once did?
No, I just have a team that I work with, which I did mentor myself many years ago. So just people that we work together, we trade together, we analyze the charts together. It's a small, tight circle, of people who we know why we are trading. We're trading because we want to invest and build businesses. Yeah, every now and again, everybody's allowed to spoil themselves, but that's not our business, Yeah.
Do you believe entrepreneurship can solve the unemployment crisis in Lesotho, and how do you think stakeholders such as government and maybe other stakeholders can get involved to sana details entrepreneurship so that the crisis of youth unemployment and the economy can be able to thrive?
Unlock new worlds at the Connection LS at Maseru Mall for only 35 Maluti. Experience the thrill of virtual reality. Whether you are chasing excitement or exploring incredible landscapes, it's an adventure you won't want to miss. Step into the future of fun today. 9D virtual reality game machines available at Maseru Mall next to game stores.
Short, quick answer, yes. Entrepreneurship is the answer. You look at global trends, you look at what's happening now in America, how that is affecting the rest of the world, jobs at risk. You look at the advancements of technology, you look at AI, what AI is doing today, what ChatGPT and all these other, OpenAI technologies are doing, when you look at machine learning and how that is advancing, jobs are going to be wiped out. A lot of careers are going to be wiped out in the next 15 or so years. So we need to start thinking innovatively and start thinking differently, right? And entrepreneurship, I promise you, it's I think it's the answer to an emerging economy, because we need to build a lot of entrepreneurs. We need to, support a lot of SMEs. My personal belief is SMEs are the backbone of the growth of the economy, because they have more opportunity with the right resources, with the right support. They have more opportunity to create more jobs, than all these big corporates and NGOs can ever create, right? And I think government at the moment is doing a relatively good job at that. I think there's a lot of opportunities out there. There's big projects like World Bank sponsored projects. There's like the Coffee Project, for example, that's supporting SMEs and entrepreneurship and promoting entrepreneurship. I think a year or so ago, the Ministry of Trade established an official Lesotho entrepreneurship hub and seed financing facility, which is a hub meant to create, entrepreneurs and promote the culture of entrepreneurship and support SMEs in different ways. Access to finance, access to markets, access to like entrepreneurial support, mentorship, business development support, etc. And you also look at, like what LNDC is doing as well with the partial credit guarantee fund. That's also meant to promote entrepreneurship, access to finance. Um, and yeah, there are other projects as well from like the Millennium Challenge, especially targeted to like horticulture, agriculture, and that sector, because that's one of the biggest contributors to GDP. So there's a lot of support there as well, even from CAFI's front. So I think, look, man, there's a lot of opportunities. I think as a young person, you just need to stay alert with what's happening, where to access these opportunities. I think we find ourselves in a society where young people were spending and wasting our time on trends and trolls, TikTok, and all these many things, and not actually seeking opportunities. We're not reading newspapers. That's where everything is advertised. On Facebook, we're not following the right channel pages. That's where a lot of things are. But yeah, I think government honestly is doing a relatively good job to promote entrepreneurship, because ultimately small businesses are what are going to create jobs in this country, and is what can contribute significantly to reducing the levels of unemployment. And we need to take charge as young people and take things into our hands to say we are the ones who are going to change our future. Gone are the days of sitting and waiting for a government job or for government to create jobs. We now need to drive that change, and government will find us on the journey.
But what inspires you to keep going? Because I believe entrepreneurship has a lot of challenges, and what were some of them that you faced them, and how did you tackle them?
What inspires me? Man, I'm inspired by a lot of things. Honestly, like I'm inspired by a lot of things. I think the biggest thing that inspires me is success stories. When you read about other people, where they were and where they are, and I'm just like, that person could go from there to there, then what's stopping me? I'm also like, I generally have strong faith. I'm a Christian. So I believe very much in God, and I believe that, God rewards. So yeah, and I also read a lot about successful people that are doing things that I want to do, or have walked the journey that I have walked. So I read a lot of their autobiographies. So one thing that I'm actually doing at the moment is, so for me personally, like, Afrikaners generally, like white Afrikaners, I draw a lot of inspiration from. So I've literally been reading every single autobiography of every single Afrikaner, successful business person in South Africa, and understanding their journey. Because reading someone's autobiography, it feels like a mentorship session. It's like you're sitting with them, because they're detailing where they were and how they got to where they are. So I draw a lot of inspiration from that, and I start to see patterns as well in all of them, right? And yes, someone might argue and say, those guys became wealthy because of an apartheid system which benefited white people at the expense of black people, but that, I think that's a blanket thinking, right? So when you say an apartheid system benefited Afrikaners, what are you talking about exactly, right? So you look at a lot of these small advantages that they had and opportunities that they had, because there's still a lot of other white South Africans who are not wealthy, and there's some black South Africans that are actually wealthier than some white guys. So why aren't those guys wealthy? What did these guys do that those guys didn't do? So I was looking at things like that, thinking of seeing ways in which they benefited from changes of regulation, where they saw gaps that people didn't see, where they saw opportunities but people didn't see opportunities, how they spotted them, how they responded to challenges, how they responded to setbacks, And one thing that I've learned and realized is that all these things, all these patterns and all these trends, they keep happening. Like there's always change of regulation, there's always change of legislation, there's always change in, movement in markets. And it's just about taking benefit and, seeing, this guy was what elevated this guy was this change. And then you see it happening even in today, in 2025. You're like, hey, this reminds me of how that guy approached it. Maybe on a smaller scale, but, he responded this way, so I can also maybe look at it in this way, and hopefully this is where it will get me to. So, yeah, that's why I draw a lot of inspiration from like Afrikaners, successful white Afrikaner families, like the Rupert family, the Menel family, the Oppenheimers, the Moutons, etc. Yeah, that's a place where I draw a lot of inspiration from.
Yeah, and the challenging part, the challenges you faced and how you tackle them.
Hey man, there's challenges every day. Even now sitting here with you, there's challenges. I'm sure there's challenges every day. Like you just become immune, you build a thick skin towards challenges, right? But there are some challenges which just, they cut deep, they are very, very, like you feel like you're in a loop, constant cycle of no growth. You don't see what's happening. You don't see any change. You think, let me just give up. Anyways, I went to school, I've got degrees, let me go apply for a job or something, But I think it's just the spirit and the drive that just keeps you going. So how have I overcome some of the biggest challenges that I've experienced? Nothing has been easy. Such a tough question to ask. Like ultimately, just never giving up. Like even when there's no way out, just never giving up. Just maintaining faith to say, God, give me the same faith that you gave Meshach and Abednego when they were stuck in the den of the lion and they said the lion will not eat me. Like honestly, like just never giving up. Genuinely, like just never give up, regardless of how difficult or how challenging or how pushed or how to a corner you're pushed, just never give up. For as long as you have oxygen in your lungs and you can breathe, just never give up. The universe is fair. It always rewards, but it rewards those who make it to the tail end, right? That's just how it works, unfortunately. So just a matter of having a strong mindset, building a strong mindset, which is not easy. Like a lot of people now, mental health on its own it's a very tricky thing to navigate for our generation. But you just need to have a strong mindset. You need to have a strong support system. You need to have a strong support structure. You need to find internal strength. You're actually much stronger than you actually think. I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. Like, I think generally, I always knew, I'm a pretty, tough and strong person. But when I reflect on some of the experiences and some of the things that I've been through because of this entrepreneurship thing, I actually realized that I've got actually more strength than I even thought I had. And when you dig that deep inside of you to find that little bit of you extract that little bit of willpower, that little bit of performance to do what you need to do, you break a certain boundary, which just makes you a super resilient human being. So, and I believe that's what you need to survive in this world, resilience, perseverance, and just innate, in inner strength, self-confidence, self-belief, and just tell yourself, any room that I walk in, I'm here to disrupt. I'm not leaving this room with a no,
Have you ever took a job or your your business?
Nah. Maybe just part-time here and there. But in terms of actual full-time employment, I've never. Like since school. Like when I started business in school, and I just kept building up through that, had beautiful opportunities, access beautiful opportunities along the way that enabled me to just focus on my business, and it's just been a matter of building on and building on and building on. I was also trading the site, so I was also able to, I started becoming profitable as well. So even when this was...
Did you have social life when back in university?
No, it's fun. You can go ask all my friends from university. Literally they will tell you that guy lived in his room. And they all thought I was studying. And then later they realized, oh damn, this guy's actually trading. Man, the university, zero. Even time to go to school for lectures, I didn't have that time. Like I was a part-time student in a full-time program. I would only just focus on school just that last 2 weeks, one night before the exam, and just try cram everything, cram. But look, I'm grateful for the journey though. I mean, it made me who I am today, and I would never trade it for anything. I think as a young person, that moment in your life, you're at a crossroad. That's the first time that you have full control of your destiny and over your future, and you need to take it seriously. People will tell you, when you're young, have fun, live your life, do these things. Hey, my man, we don't have time. These things will come later with life. I think for me, I've always just loved money. I'm like, man, I need to have money. Like the things that I love and the things that I enjoy cost money. So I need to build my way to that. Ultimately. So social life, university, that came after. Yeah.
So right now, do you have a wife and children?
No, I'm not married yet. I'm still a bachelor. I'm still a bachelor.
So right now, do you have a social life, or you're just focusing on your businesses?
My social life is a very broad statement. So what I will say is right now I am more intentional with spending time away from work, right? So whenever it's a holiday, whenever there's something happening, weekend, I pull out from work, right? Because I realize that by nature, I become so, like when I'm chasing something, when I'm chasing a goal, I become so obsessed with achieving that goal that I just shut out everything outside of me. Like I just tunnel focus to say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I have to do. I go to bed, I dream about this thing. I wake up in the shower, I'm bathing, I'm thinking about this thing. I'm eating, I'm thinking about this thing. I'm doing this, I'm thinking about this thing. So I just become obsessed, and I just want to work and chase that goal, right? And that cuts out a lot of things. And, and more recently I've come to learn that, there's more to life than work, more to life than business, more to life than making money. So now I'm very much more intentional with maintaining a healthy work-life balance. It's still difficult. I haven't figured it out fully, but yeah, I'm more intentional with doing that.
Wow. So what can you say to young people who want to be entrepreneurs? Like, what can they study at varsity? Or should they go to school? Traditional education is still important, or is it still worth it?
Hey, my guy, I'm gonna be very honest with you. This entrepreneurship thing is very difficult. and not everybody's cut out for it. Like, it is very difficult. Like, people shouldn't do things because they're glorified. They see people in business living this lifestyle or doing this or driving that car or these things. I think it's difficult, my brother. And not everything that glitters is gold. That's one thing that you must know. So I think if a young person, I have a couple that come and ask me, I want to go into business, what should I study? My first question is, why do you want to go into business? Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? No, I want to be like this person. No, I want to do that. Fundamentals are already wrong. So my first question would be, why do you want to do this? Like, explain to me why, right? Because it's not all glittery as it seems. 2, I think what I would then say to you is, go to school, study. I think education is important. I think education builds character, mental character. I think education opens your mind up for different things. So it will depend what business you want to do, because I think for me it's different in the sense that I always liked finance. I always liked numbers, and I just did in school what would channel me into that stream. So you see, like I said, my background is in accounting and finance, and ultimately today the businesses that I run are in finance. Numbers are involved. Even other, businesses that I have, or that I'm involved in, my greatest strength and what I bring to the table is the financial element and the finance component of the business, right? From a corporate finance point of view, from a corporate structuring, from creating different structures, and that's my greatest strength, right? So I would need to partner up with other people who, maybe if it's like a niche service business, maybe let's say something to do with engineering. I don't know anything about engineering, so I'd need to partner with someone who's an expert in that field, and I know what I bring to the table. So some people come to you and say, let's do business together. I'm like, I know what I bring to the table. Let me see what you bring to the table. There's a little bit of an offset, so I'm not going to do business because this thing's not going to survive. Because it needs someone who's technical, Well, those are things that you learn over time. But I think, generally speaking, with the experience that I have, I don't have 40 years experience yet, but with the couple of years of experience that I have, I would say just go to school and learn, just a general BCom is enough, because it's going to give you an understanding of economics, an understanding of accounting, an understanding of finance, an understanding of statistics, an understanding of, opening up your mind to become analytical, right? But a trend that I realized, though, from all these Afrikaners that I spoke about, is all of them, in fact, most of them, they all studied law. So they all went and did some form of a BA law or LLB before branching out into their different fields, right? So maybe there's something there, I don't know. One of my best friends likes to say, amen. Law is the direction because you understand legislation. It opens up your mind to become a person, because you have a lot of reading to do, right? So when you're open to reading, it means by nature you start to read more, you start to open a certain part of your brain, so you're more receptive to information. Because I'll be honest, now my brain is only receptive to numbers. Like, if you talk numbers, you're going to get my attention. So maybe a general law degree, because then I guess you learn constitution, you start to see gaps in certain legislations, start to see opportunities, how to navigate. Because ultimately, I think profitability and maximization of profitabilities and finding gaps and margin where other people don't find it. I think that's what profitability is all about. So and success in business. So yeah, I think that's the advice I would get. But I would give definitely, even if it's an undergrad, I don't think you need necessarily an MBA to run a business. I think some of the most successful businesses in the world were started by people who didn't have MBAs. So I don't think it's that important. But if you feel the need to do it, I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. But my advice would be, if you have an idea, just start where you are with what you have, and you never know where it will take you.
Well, can I share your age or your age range? I think the viewers are going to be interested to
know my age.
Yeah.
How old do you think I am?
Maybe 30.
30.
Or 30, 32, 33, 34, 32, 35.
I'm turning 29 this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you have achieved a lot of great things.
I'd like to believe that, great. I'd like to believe. Sometimes you just feel like, maybe I could do more, but yeah. To other people it looks different, but yeah, no, thank you.
Well, what are the things you are so today for your goals, long-term goals for now? Or your vision?
Man, my vision is very simple. I don't have a specific thing that I want to do. What I want to do, I just want to grow my business. That's it.
Thank you so much for being on the Reconnect Podcast and TV Show. Is there anything else you would like to share?
No, nothing that I would like to share. Thank you for having me. I hope it was an insightful episode. I hope your viewers will enjoy this episode as well. And if there's any young person out there who just wants some form of advice, guidance, or help, I'm always happy to assist, and you can always reach out. Thank you.
Thank you so much.